The Lord gives, He takes away. He sends the sun, He makes it rain. If I could, would I exchange the joy He's given to be free from the pain? Either way, I will bless His name. I will bless His name when everything around me falls apart. He's the only one who heals the broken pieces of my heart. Through every storm He stays the same, faithful, good, He doesn't change. So I will bless His name. Should I receive good from His hand and not accept the things that I don't understand? He knows exactly what I need, and I can't fathom what He has in store for me. So come what may, I will bless His name. I will bless His name when everything around me falls apart. He's the only one who heals the broken pieces of my heart. Through every storm He stays the same, faithful, good, He doesn't change. So I will bless His name. Through every storm He stays the same, faithful, good, He doesn't change. So I will bless His name.
Well, welcome, church family, to our Sunday morning service. And here we are again in this empty auditorium. I'm coming to you by way of video because of the winter weather. Whoever is praying for snow, if you want to stop, that would be just fine. How about praying for something else? Pray for revival, pray for souls to be saved, pray for $1 million, and then give it to the church. But don't pray for snow anymore. I hope you're having a great day today. I'm sorry that we're not together. We sure do miss you, and we've been praying for you, and we love you. And honestly, if you need anything, make sure that you contact the church, and we'll try to help you in any way that we can. We're a little bit snowed in ourselves, and we're keeping up with all the snow here on the property, but if we can help you, we want to. We're still making all the hospital runs and checking in on people and things of that nature, but if you need something, let us know. I challenged you yesterday in that update video to do those 3 things: read your Bible, pray, and be a witness. Well, you do that every day of your life anyway, but just because you're snowed in, we don't sort of like clock out from being a Christian. Let's keep serving God where we are. And here's the good news: the weather is changing back in our favor, and I thank God for that. By the way, don't get used to me canceling church for snow. This is not normal for North Carolina, and I hope we don't see it again for another 100 years or so, and Lord willing, we're not going to miss any more services from now till Jesus comes. You can probably see it behind me on the back wall. The hearts are up, the I Love My Church hearts, and there's also a nice I Love My Church heart at the new photo wall as well, and that's all waiting for you when we come back on Wednesday to be together. We have extended I Love My Church Sunday to I Love My Church month, the entire month of February. That way everybody can get their offerings in, and we can celebrate our love for the church together. And so just be mindful of that. We won't collect all the offerings or close that out till the end of February. And in fact, that I Love My Church fund is open all year round. You can always give to it. So take part in that if you haven't already. In fact, the other day, a man, I think I told you this, drove on the property just to give me his I Love My Church offering in the middle of the snow, handed it to us, and put it in the drop box out there. And that was a blessing and an encouragement to my heart. Now, I don't have a bulletin for you, You have the last bulletin that we've put out. You already have that. But the newsletter, if you'll check that online newsletter, it has all the current events, the announcements and things that you need to be aware of there. And a lot of things that were scheduled is all tentative now. Wait till we come back and I'll give you an update on dates for things that were previously scheduled. And so wait till Wednesday and then Sunday for me to let you know when things will be for sure, because some things we've had to move around because of this interruption with the winter weather. But thankfully, as far as I know, everybody in our church family has been safe and sound and warm, and I pray that'll continue to be the case. We're going to be back in the book of Psalms today, and I think I'm going to go through these 15 Psalms or songs of degrees with you. We went last week to Psalm 121, and that is the second song of degree. And after doing that, God kind of spoke to my heart about just going through all of them. So it's kind of an unorthodox way to start with the second and go back to the first. But bear with me, that's what I want to do today and lead us into this study that we'll do on Sunday mornings, Lord willing, from these 15 songs within the greater songbook of the Bible, Psalm 120 through Psalm 134. Don't forget to tune in again tonight as well. Our normal service time of 6:30 p.m. We'll have another online service for you, and I'm excited about that. All right, Psalm 120 and verse number 1. The Bible says, "In my distress I cried unto the Lord, and He heard me. Deliver me, or deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. What shall be given unto thee, or what shall be done unto thee, thou false tongue? Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper." And you say, what is juniper? Well, you remember that Elijah crawled up under a juniper tree. And so it's a type of tree, and it was a tree known to burn hot. And they would say, it was sort of like a proverb, that the coals of the juniper would burn for 100 years before they'd go out. So he's talking about the fierce wrath of God. Verse 5, "Woe is me that I sojourn in Meshech, that I dwell in the tents of Kedar. My soul hath long dwelt with him that hateth peace. I'm for peace, but when I speak, they are for war." For a little while this morning, I want us to think on this thought, having faith in the faithfulness of God. Having faith in the faithfulness of God. Most people refer to the book of Proverbs as the wisdom book of the Bible. And if Proverbs be the wisdom book of the Bible, then Psalms, without a doubt, is the worship book of the Bible. And when you come to look in the book of Psalms, you find that God is the central focus and topic of this text. The power of God is repeated over and over again. The victory that God brings to His people is celebrated. And throughout the Psalms, the worship of God is continually encouraged, not just because of what God has done, but because of God and because of who He is. And what's amazing about the Psalms are they are more than just black words on white paper. These are actual songs that were sung by the people in adoration to the Lord, and they used it in the worship of their God. And they run the whole gamut of human experience, the highs and the lows, and then the mid of every emotion, every situation, every circumstance, every peril, and every problem a person could ever find themselves in. But over and over again, you find that God steps in, shows up, and shows off in every single one of those scenarios and shows Himself to be great and mighty and worthy of our praise. You read these songs. Some songs were birthed in seasons of depression. Some were derived out of moments of despair. Some of these songs were written after a great defeat or penned after a decisive victory. But in every song, the common thread is the goodness of God and the glory of God. You can examine the Psalms. You can go through and expound, and you'll find that the glory of God is inexhaustible, and God is worthy, and God is found to be true. Now, as we come to these Psalms in particular, we're going to study a group of songs that are put together, 15 in all. It's Psalm 120 through Psalm 134. Now, I mentioned in our last sermon, last Sunday morning, these are called the Psalms of Ascent or Songs of Degrees. And what that means is these are songs that go up as you sing them. And the thought is like a man who ascends a staircase. He starts low, but he's working his way up to higher ground. And these are songs that were sung by God's people as they would make their pilgrimage to Jerusalem. They would travel to Jerusalem at least 3 times every year to celebrate the different high feasts. They would go for Passover, they would go for Pentecost, and they would go for the Feast of the Tabernacles. And as they would journey, they would sing these songs. There's another application some people make. There were 15 steps between the court of the women and the court of the men in the temple. And they would say that the Levites would stop on those steps and they would sing these 15 songs on those 15 steps. I don't know if that's true or not. But regardless of that fact, these are songs that were sung as God's people were moving in both body and spirit from where they were closer to the presence of God. As they drew nigh to God, it just made them want to sing. As they got closer to His presence, it made them want to praise. As they got near to where God was, that testimony began to ring out from their heart that they were just pilgrims and strangers, not settlers, just a passing through, and they were headed toward the presence of God. You study out the Psalms. These Psalms of Ascent are like the soundtrack of a pilgrim's life. They're the song that a stranger sings as he's headed back toward home. In Hebrews 11:13, if you turn there, you know what the Bible does? It describes you and I as God's people as being strangers and pilgrims on the earth. What does that tell us? That tells us that we're just a passing through. Just like these Hebrews who sang those songs on their journey to God, you and I as Christians ought to be having a song to sing as we draw nigh to God as well. I want you to picture this scene in your mind. I want you to picture these pilgrims as they travel toward the temple. They tell us that often these caravans of pilgrims would travel toward Jerusalem in the darkness. They would travel at night. And there's several reasons why they would do that. It was cooler, of course, in those dark hours. It was a little bit easier on the animals and the beasts of burden as they carried the load. It was easier on the pilgrims as well, maybe less traffic from others that were traveling. But also, it was dangerous. As they traveled in the darkness, the pilgrims would have to travel as a called out assembly. And they would travel together as a congregation. Because as they made their journey toward the temple, in the darkness, through the countryside, they'd have to travel through rough roads. There'd be sharp rocks. There might be robbers and wild animals. But there they were, a church, if you will, marching toward the presence of God. And as they went through the shadows of the night, the sound of their singing would echo down the roadway as the pilgrims were praising God. I love that thought because that's where we are. We are living in the darkness of this world. We're living here in this place that is against God and anti-God, but I'm glad God has given us one another. And I'm glad that God has called us out and assembled us together. And I'm glad we don't have to journey this pathway alone, but we can journey this pathway as the family of God. And as we travel together through whatever this world has in store for us, we can sing the praises of God even in this land of shadows. God's people in the Old Testament, and even God's people in this hour, are supposed to be pilgrim people. What does that mean? It means this world is not our home, and there's something in our heart that longs for another land. In 1 Peter 2:11, the Bible says, "Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul." So there Peter refers to us as pilgrims. It makes me think of Abraham. Abraham sought for a city who was built by God. Abraham sought for a place that God had prepared for him. And there was something, though he hadn't seen it, that tugged him in that direction. It's like the Christian. You and I have something on the inside that's tugging us toward a place that we've never even seen before. What happened or what caused that? Well, we got born again. We got saved by the grace of God. And we changed our address. We changed our hometown. We changed our citizenship. When you and I were saved, we became strangers to the world. Now we're aliens in a strange land. We are sojourners just a passing through, and this world is just not comfortable or fit for the Christian. We have been drawn nigh by the blood of Christ. We have been separated from all those who are unsaved. We've been brought into the fellowship of the redeemed, and now we are heaven bound with the hammer down, and our city city is not this city. It is not this place. But we're looking for a city built four square. We just don't fit in anymore. We're light in darkness. Holiness in a land of unholiness. Spirituality in a place that is full of carnality. And that's why there's a longing on the inside for us to trade out this for that. You ever notice why, maybe thought about this, why is it that a lot of the songs we sing are about heaven? We sing songs like this. Some call it heaven, but I call it home. We sing hymns like, I am home, I'm home. I can see King Jesus on His throne. You ever heard this song? Home, where there is no night. Home, where the sun is the light. I like this one. I'll not be a stranger. When I enter that city, I'm acquainted with folks over there. And I've never even been there before. I've never been to heaven. I've never seen the streets of gold. I've never seen the gates of pearl. I've never been there around the throne. And yet I would say heaven is home. Why is that? Because there's a little bit of heaven already on the inside. I'm a native to heaven, unwanted by the world, but wanted by the Father. And I'm glad I'm headed that way. Now here when we come to Psalm 120, this is the first psalm of ascent. And it's the heart cry of a homesick pilgrim. The opening psalm in this series that we're going to study together brings us to a pilgrim who is just launching out, headed toward the presence of God. When you read these first 7 verses, you quickly find that the author of the psalm is a weary man. He is weary of wicked men. He's weary of the world, and he longs to be where God is. He begins to sing this song as he launches out on his pilgrimage. The song begins with distress, and it ends with war. And isn't that amazing? The bookend of distress and the bookend of war, and in between the life of a pilgrim. Doesn't that just describe how it is living here in this sin-cursed world for you and I? And between those bookends, that's where we find the pilgrim. And that's why he's longing to trade out this world for a better one. He's not at the temple. And when he's not at the temple, he just kind of feels terrible. He doesn't like to live distant from God. He doesn't like to not enjoy God's presence and fellowship. There's a hungering in his heart. There's no solace where he is. He wants to be where God is. And so he begins to sing this song. And I want us to see some things in these 7 verses this morning that I hope can be a help to you and I. You ever felt homesick before? Do you remember whenever you went off to college, you might have felt homesick? Maybe you moved to a new town after you got out of college, you felt homesick. Maybe just as a young person, you went on a trip, and while you weren't with your family, you felt homesick. Well, as a Christian, you know what? You and I ought to always have a little homesickness on the inside, because this world is not the end for you and I. I'm glad for that. We've got all of heaven to look forward to. And so here's the cry of a homesick pilgrim. I want you to notice first his distress in verse number 1. He said, "In my distress I cried." Now, at the beginning, you don't see all that's going on in the life of this man. We are just told, because of the word distress, that whatever's going on isn't all that good. There's some things in his life that's got him walking the floor at night, maybe got him biting his nails a little bit, got his stomach in knots. He looks around and sees some circumstances and scenarios, a situation, and it doesn't bring comfort to his soul. The Bible said that he is in distress. You might be watching today, and maybe you have a little of that going on in your own life. And I don't know what it is. There could be a million things. There's so many things that can cause us to be distressed. But maybe you have some of that. Jesus said it would happen. He said, in this world you'll have tribulation. And we have to understand that there's going to be things that happen in life that we can't control and we can't contain and sometimes can't even comprehend. And it's going to bring seasons of distress where we understand, I'm not strong enough to do this. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I'm not rich enough to buy my way through. I didn't expect that to happen. It wasn't in the planner. It wasn't on the calendar. I don't understand what's going on. And distress comes into life. That's just the lot of a pilgrim. And I thank God for that. Because if we got too comfortable down here, we'd probably backslide anyhow. So distress comes into his life. And then we find the cause of the distress in the next verse. He is disdained by the world. See what it said in verse 2? Deliver my soul, Lord, and here it is, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. Look at verse 3. What shall be given unto thee, or what shall be done unto thee, thou false, here it is again, tongue. Verse 4. Sharp arrows of the mighty with coals of juniper. Here's the problem for the pilgrim. He's in distress, and now we know why. Because the world is slandering him. The world is looking at him and hurling falsehoods his direction. They're lying about him. They are mocking him. They are saying things that are untrue about him. No doubt they are saying things derogatory about his God. And here he is trying to live right in a world that's wrong. And all he gets in return is hate mail and mean tweets and bad things said about him by co-workers and a family who thinks maybe he's in some religious cult. A political world that would call him an extremist. And here he's just trying to do right. And he's met with all of that from this lost world. He's just hated. The offscouring, if you will, of society. He's looked down upon. And he said, Lord, deliver me from that. Lies and deceit and this tongue that won't quit wagging in my direction and hurling falsehoods at my life. And that's why he's distressed. That's how it is, isn't it, for the child of God? You try to live right. If you live right, your fanfare is not going to be all that much. You're not going to be at the top of the list. You're not going to be on everybody's Fab Five, if you will. You're not going to be on the speed dial of a lot of folks in this world. You try to take a stand for God. All right, we're going to take a stand for God. We're going to live according to the Bible. We're going to go to church. We're going to pray in the restaurant before we eat our Big Mac, whatever you want to say. At the office, I'm going to take a stand for God and just let people know this is what I believe about that thing. Politically, I'm going to make sure that I lift up my voice and say, no, that's not right, or this isn't right, or here's what God has to say about it. Well, you better expect to get some feedback, and not good, some negative feedback from the world. And here's this pilgrim. He's just trying to live for God. He's just trying to do right. He's trying to shine his light, and he's met by opposition. And listen, it's almost easier to withstand somebody who wants to physically attack, because it's easy to stop a fist, but there's no way to stop words. When somebody hurls accusations and slander and falsehoods at you, all you can do is bear it. All you can do is live right. All you can do is maintain your integrity like Job and let God sort the thing out. And that's not very easy on the flesh. And both of those are places inhabited by those who are not Jewish people. They are pagan. They are the Arab people of that region. And they were known for being barbarians. They were known for being full of sin and immorality. And here's what the man is saying. The psalmist is not saying he lived in two places at once. He's saying that I feel like I'm living among people that are totally barbaric and anti-God. And it's a distant place. It's not near the temple. It's not where I want to be. And he's saying I am not settled where I am. That's sort of how the Christian ought to feel living in this world. I'm just not real settled here in this world. Isn't it amazing how, people, the world would look at us like we're weird. And we'd look at the world like they are insane. What's funny is the world looks at us like we're weird. And they actually are. There's just something a little bit weird about a hairy-legged man putting on a dress and going to the grocery store. There's just something a little weird about that. There's just something a little weird about a woman trying to grow out a beard and talk like she's Johnny Cash. But the world would look at you and I because we're trying to raise our children for God, and we're trying to build a work for God, and we're trying to reach souls with the gospel. And they just say, those folks right there, man, we ought to put them, somewhere off in the corner of society if we even let them exist at all. And that's sort of how the psalmist feels. He's like, I feel like I'm living among people that are absolutely void of God. And he said, you know what? I just don't like where I find myself. So here it is. He's distressed. He's disdained. He's discontented. His life is difficult. Verse 7, he said, I'm for peace. I want to live as much as life within me, live peacefully with all men. I'm not going out there just picking fights, but I'm preaching the truth. And when I do, they want to go to war over it. All right? So what kept this man sane? If that be the case, now wait a minute, it's easy to preach on all the ills of society, and I can preach you right to the edge of the ills to where you're going to want to jump off the cliff and say, that's enough, I'm going to heaven right now. So what is it that keeps us getting out of bed, putting our shoes on, walking the street, living for God, going to work, doing right? What is it that keeps us from not clocking out, and cashing in, throwing in the towel and saying, it ain't worth it any longer? What is it, pilgrim, that keeps you pressing on? Well, it's in verse number 1. In my distress, here it is, very first verse. I cried unto the Lord, and watch, He heard me. And then that's past tense, so let's bring it into the present. He has enough faith to say, deliver my soul, O Lord. I tell you what kept this man marching, what kept him going, what kept him from quitting, what kept him from throwing in the towel and being discouraged. He looked back and thought, he's never failed me before. He's never fallen short. He's never not come through. God has heard my cry. I was in distress. I cried. The Lord heard me. And he said, you know what? If he heard me then, he can hear me now. So if God got me, here we go. If God got me through Monday, God can get me through Tuesday. And if God got me through Tuesday, he can get me through Wednesday. And if God got me through Wednesday, he'll get me through Thursday. And if God got me through Thursday, he'll get me through Friday. And if God got me through Friday, he'll get me through Saturday. And if God got me through Saturday, I'll go to church and worship and praise and preach and sing and give and love God on Sunday because God has been faithful. That's what keeps us going. It's not the news that keeps us going. It's not the politician's opinion that keeps us going. It's not slander or no slander that stops or keeps us going. It's that God is immovable, that God is fixed, that God is steadfast, and God has been, is, and will forever be a faithful God for you and I. I might not have faith in me, and I shouldn't. And I might not have faith in a church, and I shouldn't. And I might not have faith in the government, and I shouldn't. But I can have faith in God, and I never cast my bread upon the water of God and have it not returned. But God is always faithful. We keep going because God's faithful. We just keep praying because God's faithful. We just keep doing right because God is faithful. God knows, God understands, and what we do is look back at the past and let the past be our confidence in the present, that if God did it, God did it, God can do it again for us. And that's what He's saying. He's just saying, God, you did it, would you just do it again? That'd make a Baptist shout through the camera. Hey, what, God, just do it again. God, you sent revival. I reckon you could do it again. God, you built a church. I reckon you could do it again. God, you gave us 50 on the bus. I reckon you could do it again. God, you saved that sinner. I reckon you could do it again. God, you brought back their prodigal. You could probably do it again. God, you healed their cancer. I bet you could do it again. God, you met that financial need. I bet you could do it again. So let the storms rage high and the dark clouds rise. They don't worry me. I'm sheltered, safe within the arms of a faithful God. Well, you're home. I hate that. I wish we were together. I like preaching to people better than I like preaching to a camera. I wish I could be there in your living room with you and just say this. Listen, I'm about to preach my spleen out to get you to believe this. God is faithful. And even now, I hope you've not gotten cabin fever to the point where you begin to doubt what God's doing, or gotten discouraged that God isn't in control. And people have asked me, they say, preacher, I bet you've been worried about this weather. I've not been worried for the church. I've been worried for the people, physically and spiritually at home. But I'm not worried about this because this is God's. And God knows what He's doing. Amen. And God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all I could even ask or think. And last time I checked, God hadn't failed before, and I don't think He's going to start today.